All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how to fix non-performing Facebook ads. You see, the problem that I see with a lot of Facebook advertisers is whenever they have a non-performing campaign, they just throw it away. This is the reason why I want to do this video, because I wanted to share with more people based on my experience, dealing with Facebook ads since 2009. That's like donkey years back, right? I wanted to share with you a framework that I use to identify the problems in a non-performing Facebook ads campaign. All right, so let me bring the screen in real quick. So as you can see, the topic is about fixing non-performing Facebook ads. Okay, so I think the question should start with a very important question, okay, which is how do we define a non-performing Facebook ads? Now, to me, there are a few criteria. First thing first, it is not generating results. That's for sure. It is not performing. Okay, meaning you have been running this for 3 days at least. I mean, here's the thing, right? When do we actually come in and decide whether this is a performing or non-performing campaign? I usually would give it at least 48 hours to like up to 3 days. Of course, if you are spending huge amount, then within a day or two, when we have kind of like reached enough people, then we will know that, oh, maybe we should make a decision whether this is working or not. But usually when we are spending at a lower budget, I would recommend to give it at least 2 to 3 days time to let it brew, because Facebook advertising sometimes takes some time to really gather enough data and learn. So first, when you're not generating any results, so that's a non-performing campaign. Now, the second one is you are actually getting some results, but the cost is ridiculously high. You get what I mean? Like, I just had a discussion with one of my clients, which launched a campaign in Australia 2 days ago, and the cost per result went up to about like, usually we are getting about like $20 to $30 per purchase, but this time around, we're seeing about $250 per purchase, which is, of course, it is ridiculous. So this is definitely a non-performing campaign. So these are the simple definition of a non-performing campaign. But of course, if you have prior data to use as benchmark, like what I've shared with you just now, it will be great. However, if you do not, okay, I think the simplest way to come in here is you definitely understand what is the margin you have for your product. Let's say if you're selling something at $10, for example, and your margin is about 30%. So which means what you are actually comfortable with would be you spend $3 to get one purchase, but you're actually spending about like $30 to get one purchase, then definitely it is non-performing. So when a campaign is non-performing, how do we fix it? Or how do we find, the problem? How do we identify which part of the element is actually causing the non-performing issue? So this is how we will come in and take a look at it. Now, first, before we dive into what we look at, we need to really take a quick recap about what makes a good Facebook ads campaign. Okay, so this is based on my understanding. You can actually have a different kind of like school of thought, different belief, but this is based on my framework. This is what I think that makes a good Facebook ads campaign. It has to be, it's actually made of 3 main pillars over here. Okay, so it has to be able to send the right message to the right people to get them to take the right action. So the right message being the creative. So if the creative is wrong, of course, it's not going to work, right? When we say wrong means it is not getting people to click. It is not generating interest among your audience. So that's how we define as wrong message. And how do we know, right? I'm going to tell you later. And then after that, it has to be able to send to the right people. So this one is actually relatively easier to fix, because I would believe when you're running a business long enough, if you have been running a business long enough, you definitely know who are the people who are likely to buy from you. That's why, unless you're starting a new business, but even so, I always believe that even you're starting a new business, you have done your research to know who are the people who are likely to buy. So relatively, the people issue shouldn't be as serious, but the message usually is the one. But of course, another main problem that might be causing a non-performing campaign is actually the action part, which is about the objective. I did a training about objective last week. You can actually find it in the link in the description, where you can actually go back and watch how I define the Facebook ads objective to help you make decision on which one to find. But here's where a lot of people make mistake, because say, for example, if you are trying to get people to visit your website, but you actually set up a awareness campaign, and it's definitely not going to perform to your liking. Why? Because an awareness campaign is actually going to help you get people to try to remember your brand and to remember your message, to remember you as a brand, as a company, as a product. But It is not meant to help you get action like link clicks, landing page view, or even sales on the website. So these are the three main pillars. So how do we actually define each and every one of them? So is it because of the audience? Now, this is where we will actually go back into the ads manager, as in like we to look at the metrics to try to identify what are the key metrics that we are looking at. That's why here's the thing. Before we go into that, I think I need to help you build a very important mindset when it comes to what makes a good Facebook ads, Facebook advertiser over here, which is whether we have a performing or a non-performing campaign. Remember, okay, both kind of campaign are going to teach us something. So when we have a performing campaign, we need to learn why, because that's how we can actually make more money from a campaign. Let's say we know that the creative is working and we know that this is how we have achieved a foundation. Like yesterday, I had a discussion with one of my clients who has been running ads, the same ad for 2 to 3 months already. And they're kind of like not sure, say like, Jason, what should I do now? Should I be testing and all that? You see, here's the thing. In my opinion, I don't fix something that is working, or rather I don't break something that is working, but it is actually healthy to test new things consistently, strategically, continuously. But if you do not have the time, like there are different kind of businesses, right? There'll be brands who has a lot of resources. Like I've got a lot of clients that has a design department. So it's their job to keep churning new creatives and all that. So of course we need to, strategically test them to see, oh, maybe this one works better. Oh, it has better CTR. Let's replace the ad. But there will be another set of businesses like mine. We are running like a very small business, right? So I do not have that much resources to keep churning new creative and stuff. So for me, for this kind of situation, we actually tend to fix things only when they are broken. Basically, what we need to learn really is about analyzing and really understand the metrics to help us make decisions. Remember, one very important rule of thumb when it comes to Facebook advertising is we do not make decisions based on our gut feeling. What do we mean by based on gut feeling? When you have a campaign that is non-performing, what most people do, you just pause the campaign and restart all over, all right? You go back in, you create a new campaign, you go back to audience targeting, which is you're doing the same thing almost, and then you try a new creative and whatnot, and eventually you hope that this time is gonna work. But like I said, Facebook advertising is not a gamble. We are not gambling. Although there are certain element of uncertainty over there, but we want to make informed decisions. That's why it's very important for us to learn how to analyze. So when it comes to this question, whether is it because of the audience, what are the metrics that we should be looking at? But let's come back to the this is the ads manager. Okay, I don't have campaigns running right now, but I'm going to pull out certain metrics that I use to help us make decisions to answer questions like, is it because of the audience? Is it because of the creative and whatnot? So what are the metrics that we look at when we are trying to fix a non-performing campaign? So first, we're going to look at CTR. Both CTR we're taking, and then we take CPM, okay? And then we're going to take frequency over here, and followed by clicks, okay? So usually this is where we take the first 4. And if you're actually driving people to landing page view, we take landing page view. And if you have lead, or let's say you have a conversion over there, we go for the final conversion over here. So here's how we gonna come back in, and you can actually uncheck certain things on the right hand side. You can arrange, rearrange, however you want it. So let's come back in. So this is, the ads manager. A lot of people don't really know how to analyze, and what I want to do here is to help you identify. So back to the question just now, is it because of the audience? Now, when it comes to audience, what metric do we look at? The prerequisite on the entire discussion over here, which is now you have a non-performing campaign. So the first question we ask is it because of the audience? Now, what do we look at? We look at CPM, basically. Usually it's a combination, but first we come back and look at CPM. Now, CPM is cost per 1,000 impression. This is the default charging block. When you're running ads on Facebook, you're being charged every 1,000 times they show your ads to the audience. And when it comes to CPM, you do not have much control over it. It is affected by a few things. First, it's affected by the audience that you're targeting. The smaller the audience, the nicher the audience, the more expensive they become. The broader the audience, usually, the more cheaper it becomes. Okay, so CPM is actually the default charging block. Now, there'll be situation where, the CPM can actually fluctuate very radically from time to time based on certain situations, like, for example, festive season. okay, where there are a lot more advertisers coming in, or let's say there's a sales season like Black Friday, for example. Okay, when there are more advertisers coming into the market, it will push the CPM to come up high. So you have to understand CPM fluctuates, but you need to actually maintain a benchmark on what kind of CPM you should be maintaining. So like say, two situations. If you have been running ads on Facebook, you need to actually refer back to your prior campaign and build a benchmark on your CPM. Let's say you've been selecting sales objective and your CPM is at this amount, so you keep track on that. So when you have a non-performing campaign, immediately you come back and check whether the CPM is causing the problem. Because although you understand this is the CPM, let's say 15 ringgit over here, what I'm having here, there will be a situation where we might get up to 77, it actually fluctuates according to the objective that you're selecting, the audience that you're selecting. So you need to actually build a own benchmark. Now, when the CPM is radically high, like for example, let's take these two, for example. Okay, normally, let's say it's 15 and now it's coming up to 77. Then, of course, we need to do something. It could be really because of the audience that we are targeting. Then we have to check, is there any external factor like, oh, is there any festive season, any sales season? If it is, then we have to understand that, okay, now this could be temporarily, and then we don't want to fix it. We don't want to, take rush action into this thing. Now, there'll be another situation where this campaign has been running well and suddenly it becomes non-performing. Then CPM could be a metric that you want to look into to see whether it is because of that is causing the problem. So CPM. And of course, we will actually combine with CTR, because usually when the CPM is high and if the CTR is okay, it might still get you result. But when you have a high CPM and your CTR is also very low, like this is the difference, right? This is a high CPM and the CTR is high, okay? And sometimes this could be a chance. I mean, there could be chance that this campaign can still perform, to your liking and to get you results that you are comfortable with. But when you have a high CPM, let's say 77, and you have lower CTR or way lower CTR compared to your previous benchmark, then that could be a clearer sign that it could be the audience that is causing the problem. So we probably have to fix that part. Okay, so that's for the question of, is it because of the audience? Now, if you define and after analyzing and you really see that it could be because of the audience, then of course, it's definitely okay to set up a new ad set and test new audience. The rule of thumb is we don't want to actually change it right away at the ad set itself, because we want to actually have previous comparison. So what we would usually do is we duplicate. Okay, so if it's the audience, we try to fix that. Next, then we will actually have another question that we will have to answer, which is it because of the ad? This is definitely very highly possible that it could be because of the creative that you're using or the so-called copywriting that you're using. So how do we know if it is because of the ad? Now, the metric that we'll be looking at to see whether it is because of the ad is to look at the CTR, and there are two sets, CTR all and CTR link click. Now, CTR all stands for the percentage of people who click on any part of the ad, including the call to action button, the profile picture, the video play button, and everything else. And CTR link click is the percentage of people who click on the ad itself. Now, there are benchmark for this. Okay, benchmark for CTR all is 2%, and benchmark for CTR link click is 1%. Now, remember, this is not carved on the stone. Okay, CTR all is 2 and CTR link click is 1. You can still get lower than that, like what we have right now, lower than that, but the cost per result is very satisfactory. I keep it going. You get what I mean? But if you have low CTR and CTR link click and the result is ridiculous, then we have to do something. We have to test new creative. Okay, so we do the same thing. We duplicate the ad, and then we create a new ad and all that, new creative, new copywriting, and then we give it some time to test. So that's how we actually fix the creative problem. Now, here's the thing. Another thing I want to actually highlight here is when we are fixing a campaign, or when we are optimizing a campaign, we fix one variable at a time. As in, like, we only test one factor or like one element at a time. So when you are changing audience targeting, we let it run for a while before we test the next factor, which is whether it's the ad creative and whatnot. This is what we do we need to do this to actually give it enough time to learn, because every campaign needs some time to actually learn. So we need to give it a fair share of time. And what we usually do is to give it at least 7 days. That's what we usually do. All right. So that's how we fix whether, we identify whether is it because of the ad problem. So yeah, the audience problem, the ad problem, and of course, you have to check, are you using the right objective, all right? Like I said, if you are trying to get link clicks, but you're using awareness, it's not going to work. So I don't need to really use the example. So let's talk about some external factors that might affect the performance as well. Now, external factors are this. Say, for example, you have a campaign that has been running well for a while and suddenly it stopped working. What I don't want you to do is to kill the campaign because, like I said, it used to work, just that now it is not working. So we need to understand that it could be temporary, right? We've seen it so much, right? Like 1 month, 1 week, you get 0 conversion. Next week, you get 13 conversion, The fluctuation is actually reasonable. Why? Because we are dealing with people when we're running ads on Facebook. People have different mood from time to time. Like when they're in festive season, they are actually more drawn into that. They might be clicking the ad, but they are not in the mood of buying or they are waiting, they're actually getting ready for something else maybe. You need to understand there are actually fluctuations because it's not like a smooth sailing all the time. Just like when we are running ads or when we are doing business, there will be definitely ups and downs. So we need to understand, okay? Now, when it comes to external factors, you need to check whether, is there anything that is affecting, first thing first, the market competition, right? Like I said, big events like Black Friday, like the Christmas sales, all these are gonna push the CPM to come up high because there are more advertisers coming into the market. So if that's happening, you need to understand that the CPM comes up high and that is gonna be temporary. We don't want to take rush action. You can actually adjust the budget to keep running, or you understand that this is how it works right now, but you still need to push for the sales, you go for it. Now, other external factors would be, is there anything in the society that is affecting the buyer intent, as in like the consumer behavior, right? Like recently, I think about a month ago, what I was told by my client is in Australia, they had this interest rate adjustment. They actually raised the interest rate, and that affected the buying intent among people really, really seriously. People are going to restaurant lesser and they're buying things, they're reserving their cash and all that. It actually affects the entire economy. So if that's the external factor that's happening, then you need to make a decision whether you want to push through or you want to retreat. You do adjustment according to whatever that is changing in the market, because whatever we do, we are affected by the big environment. So as you can see now, these are the ways that we use this kind of like the fundamental or the kind of like the guiding framework that I use to fix non-performing campaign. But it's always about running ads. You do not predict. I always like to say, I would not be able to tell you whether your ad is going to work or not without running it. So that's why the best way to really learn is to actually learn from your campaign. Okay, so whatever you have achieved, whether it's a good campaign or it's a bad campaign, like I say, we need to learn from them. When you have a good campaign, you want to know why is it working so that you can actually make informed decision or educated decision about, oh, let's put in more money so that we can make more money, right? There'll be a happy thing. Now, when you have a non-performing campaign, okay, we need to learn why. We need to find out what actually caused the problem so that we are able to learn from the mistakes and avoid making it again in the future. So the whole thing is about analyzing. So I hope this training up to now has given you some thoughts, some ideas or some angles to look into in order to really help you, at least analyze or understand the metrics in a more effective way. But if you need help, okay, just in case you want me to come in and look at your campaign and really to give you like, okay, now this is what's happening right now and how do we fix this and all that, to give you an action plan on how to improve your campaign in the future, you can actually scan this QR code, okay, or you can actually go to this link, tripupacademy.com/audit-fiverr. This will bring you to my Fiverr page where, you can actually purchase a gig, just buy me a mail. It's actually very, very affordable. And then after that, you'll receive a link to book a 30 minutes one-on-one Zoom call with me. So all we're going to do is we're going to go on Zoom. You're going to share your screen. I'm going to dissect your campaign with you and to give you an action plan on what do you do next to your campaign to work better. So that's the whole thing about this training. I hope you learned something useful. If you like it, remember to subscribe. We have more training like this coming out your way. And of course, to share your friends and subscribe to the channel. All right, that's all from me. I hope to see you soon.